the suppression, the use of marijuana.
Why would you do that to fucking Colonel Fitzwilliam? He didn't do anything to you. Anyway, no, we're not going to talk about that. Anyway,
She's
I've
many
never read a
opinions.
Jane Austen book, so
we absolutely could do that on this. If you, I would read it at the same time as you and have a little book club separate. I don't care. I will read
we could also
any
just
Jane
have a
Austen
Jane
book.
Austen book club, like that book. That's
I
called the Jane
literally
Austen Book
listen
Club.
to Pride and Prejudice every day. That is one of the things that is in my cycle of things that I fall asleep to.
I go back to, just like the Barbie movie said, I go back to Pride and Prejudice when I'm sad.
Yeah.
Because,
the Barbie movie said that.
yeah, they made fun of us.
They did. No, I know.
I missed that
so
completely.
called out. I
That
was like,
that
this
was
is
my
rude.
thing. Is it? Drake felt very called out by the
'cause he
fucking
obviously
push.
was.
The song, I wanna push you around,
Oh,
like
yeah,
playing
yeah.
it, which was so funny because he loves Push, so we thought it was really funny. But then, yeah, the
Everything
fucking
they said
Jane
in that,
Austen.
like, stream of things was me, and I was like, okay,
I know.
that was disrespectful.
Yeah, it was like, crying at Pride and Prejudice or whatever, and Drake like looked at me and was like, "Fuck off!" I know. I'm familiar. It was very rude, but also fucking hilarious.
I was
And,
like, wow,
Also-
that was wonderful. Thank you.
Push.
Hey, now we can talk about the book.
I wanna push you around. His rendition of that was flawless.
I also really liked that song when it was out, but I
Yeah.
do realize it's played a lot
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure he got nominated for a Grammy.
for.
Ryan Gosling did.
Yes, he
For-
did. I
For
thought
I'm
so.
Just Ken.
Yeah,
Oh, good, because that shit was great.
it was really fucking good.
I was like, I watched a clip, I think, of when he asks Barbie to like be his girl or something, and she comes back and like they're like outside of her house, but
Oh
he's
my God,
still in
yes.
the dream house.
Sublime.
And there's a whole like improvisation that they don't keep, and
Yeah.
he like goes off, and like none of them can keep straight faces because they're like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, he just made up everything that he said, including sublime. God damn,
I
that's a
was
good
like,
movie.
I do have respect for Ryan Gosling.
I love Ryan Gosling. He's so funny. Okay, we can talk about the
Anyway.
book, probably.
The book's really good.
Time to refocus.
Jamie, you
Do
are
we-
lay host.
I am.
This is your book.
This is me. I'm Jamie.
Oh yeah. We have our intro we haven't done.
That's, yeah, I thought about that. Okay.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Jamie,
I'm Ryan.
I'm Tia.
and we are the ADHD Queens.
Well,
And today we are talking about Here the Whole Time by Vitor Martins. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that one right, though. I didn't look that one up.
I feel like that's
so.
I'm so sorry.
add Portuguese accent.
Yeah,
there.
I'm so sorry, sir, if I messed this up. You're never going to hear this, but,
Also, he's like the
really sorry.
cutest little thing.
I know.
Oh, I look up his photo, and it's always the same photo, but I'm just like, oh, you're so
You're
sweet.
so sweet. So, brief summary of this book. This is a lot fluffier
Yeah.
and straightforward than the other books that we've read
It
so
was
far.
needed.
It was needed, and that is why I recommended this book. I adored this book. The first time I read it, it wasn't strictly in one sitting, but it was very close. And I just literally had a smile on my face the entire time. It was so cute, and I had a great time. So, brief little plot summary. The main character is Felipe. This is a Brazilian book. So he and his mom, he lives with his mom because he's like a teenager in a little apartment building, and he has this huge crush on the boy who lives down the hall, Caio. And they don't really talk. They were friends, when they were kids, in the way that all kids are friends when they're kids. and eventually they started to kind of grow distant, but Felipe has a huge crush on him, and all of a sudden he finds out one day when he comes home from school, his mom tells him, oh, hey, that kid from down the hall, he's staying with us for 2 weeks because his parents are going out of town. Did I tell you that? So now Kaio is staying with them, and he is having full-blown anxiety, gay panic. And at the beginning, it's pretty rough. They're kind of clashing a little bit because Felipe just literally does not know how to act, which is so relatable. And then they eventually start to become friends, and then eventually more. And it's very cute, and it's
so
very
cute.
sweet. And yeah. So first impressions from y'all.
As soon as I started it, I will say I had a little bit of hesitancy at the beginning because I was like, ugh, fluff. Because I am apparently a depressed person.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then when I started to like understand his character better, I was like, no, I want you to be happy. And then he did get a happy ending, and then that's it. Like, there was no plot twist, there was no angry whatever. And I thought there was gonna be with the mom of Kaio, but no, there wasn't. And I was like, that could be like a sequel, because that would be a whole thing. But I was very, very smiley with it, and I just
Exactly.
don't do that. So I was like, weird. I was like, this is so strange.
Pushing you out of your comfort zone with something nice.
Yeah, it was very cute. The one thing about the writing style that I didn't love was the fourth wall breaks,
Oh, yeah.
where it was like, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And like you can tell that I did this or whatever. And it's like, okay, but just like, don't tell me to my face. But it fits with his character, so it does make sense that it's like that. I just wasn't a fan of that. But I loved everything else.
Yeah. I don't love fourth wall breaks. Yeah, when they seem like out of character, but it didn't bother me terribly just because, yeah, it is sort of like he is kind of a sarcastic kid.
Yeah.
And he's very much jokey all the time. And
I felt like it also spoke to, like, he doesn't really talk to people. So the fact that
That's
he's
true.
telling this story, he was like, I have to just show you that this is how this is going to be, and like roll my eyes and be kind of a little snarky child.
Yeah.
So I can understand that as well, because I also am like, okay, is this necessary?
Yeah.
This one was like, meh. I didn't hate it, but there were some references that he was making that I was like, oh, honey, you need to do more research on that reference before you decide to like it.
Oh.
So I'm like, but we can get to that in a second. The one thing that really shook me was how often he referenced American pop culture.
Yeah.
But then I was talking to my partner who is from Colombia, and he was like, no, that's very normal. At least in the Latin American world, is that they are always going after American culture and weaving it into theirs, because it's just like so prominent, and it's such the top 100. And so that's why it's so hard for like other languages to get up there.
Yeah.
But I was like, every other page was some sort of Taylor Swift, Miley Cyrus, and then like all these different plays. I was like, I know all of these. This is weird. So I had to remind myself that this was, in fact, in Brazil.
Yeah, this is like a translated book.
Yeah. I was like, okay, this is kind of weird. But it was just interesting.
Yeah, I definitely found myself like making it like an Adam Silvera book set in New York.
Right.
And, like,
yeah.
Yeah, so it was.
I mean, that is sort of what I loved about it too, though, is like it is so relatable.
Yeah.
You know, and it sort of transcends, like there is like some of that culture in there, but it's also just like this gay kid. And he has a ton of body issues. You know, he is fat, and he has you know, he is constantly thinking about how disgusting and ugly and whatever he is. And I do love that he sort of, we get to see him come past that, especially with Becky.
Yes.
So Becky is Kaio's best friend.
Yes.
And, you know, Kaio is telling Felipe, like, oh, she's amazing. She's so pretty. She's wonderful, whatever. And she is fat. She is fat and she is black and she is a lesbian and she is beautiful. And Felipe gets to be like, oh, wait, you can be those things. You actually, you can, because she is very pretty. And he gets to, you know, kind of see that and be like, oh, wait, can I be attractive? And, you know, he's obsessed with Kaio and Kaio loves him. And, you know, literally, you know, and they kiss and they are cute little gay boys together, you know. It's super sweet. And he thinks like, oh, well, there's no way Kaio could be into me because I'm fat. And it's like, I just really love that that is like part of his little, there's not like a huge character arc here because it's a pretty short, fluffy book, but like that is one thing that he kind of does work on and understand about himself. Like, oh, fatness is not inherently unattractive.
Yeah, as it goes on, you start hearing less and less about how much
exactly.
he hates himself, and I really needed that because I was like, honey,
I know.
Stop.
It's so sad because it's like, I mean, I understand why you think that because of culture, but like it's not true, and fuck culture. I was just reading an entirely separate book about, it was a thriller because I read a lot of thrillers in the middle of all the rest of my very deep books. And it was like, you know, the husband is very possessive. And the woman, this is written by a woman, by the way. The woman stands on a scale and sees that she's 135 pounds and is disgusted. She's like 5'8", and she is disgusted. And then her husband comes in.
Under the BMI recommendation for a 5'8" woman? Because
the problem is I have no idea. My BMI is like overweight.
Technically, yeah, BMI is also whack.
It's also bullshit.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it just frustrated the crap out of me that, like, number one, that's such a healthy weight.
Yeah.
Like, what is wrong with you?
I think
and
I'm 5'6" and 160, and that's pretty normal looking and
extremely normal looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 135 and 5'8" is really tiny.
It is tiny, and she is like disgusted.
I do understand though that like thin people also have body dysmorphia to an extreme.
They do,
but it's just like wow.
It's just
it's
frustrating. That? It's frustrating to write that because it doesn't even say like, oh, I've gained weight. It's literally just, I am 135 pounds and I am ugly and terrible and gross. And it's just like, I hate that we are all supposed to just infer that by that size.
Did a man write that book?
No.
That's
a
awful.
woman wrote that book. I know.
That's surprising.
That was what was extra disappointing to me.
Sure.
And so it's like, I get if you are a chubby kid.
Yeah, because
absolutely.
You're a child. You've been
why
told your whole life.
And like even adult people have all of this being thrown at them. You know, can you imagine if I was still, everybody has body issues, but you know, I was going through a very rough time, and if I read that then, that would really screw me up.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like, I totally get why you feel that way, kid, but like it just makes me so happy that we end the book with not I got thin and now I feel better.
Yes.
But I understand that those are actually totally separate things.
Right. And
like,
Becky's so confident at the point that she meets him.
So
it
confident.
Was wonderful to see
I
that.
loved her, and I loved that we, number one, you know, are allowed to call her fat because fat does not mean ugly.
Right.
You know, he's like, oh, wait, she's fat. She's beautiful. And also, we call her beautiful. We do call her attractive, not like despite her size. Like, I love Becky.
Yeah.
And she has a very cute, sweet little girlfriend who has a name. Melissa, who is a total freaking sweetheart.
I also really liked that we saw Melissa because she has body issues that are different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she has like acne scars, and she has a scar on her chest from a surgery that she had. And you see that like she's also described as beautiful, and Felipe like relates to her because they don't want to get in the pool.
Yeah.
They don't want to take their cover up off, and he doesn't want to take his shirt off, and so he relates to that. And it was nice to see him like relate to someone who is going through the same things but doesn't look like him.
Different body.
It's different body type. It's a different situation that is just similar enough that you can see yourself in them.
Yeah.
And so it was nice to see that.
And it was really nice to also see that in like the background that like Becky was attempting to like help her feel comfortable in her own skin. And so she was doing that with Felipe too, because she just like obviously she went through stuff herself. So she knows like, hey, you just need a little support.
Yeah.
And then I also like that Kyle was helpful with Felipe.
Yeah.
Like he finally felt comfortable enough to like go into the pool.
Yeah.
Mind you, it was also in like the hush hush of the night. And
Yeah,
all that
yeah.
stuff.
It was very cute though.
So
Very
adorable.
cute.
The fact that they were mermaids made me cry.
Oh my
I was like,
God.
this is so cute.
I know, there's just so many sort of, it didn't like shove any of this down your throat.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of little things that are just like, gosh, I love that you did this. I love that the little boys are playing mermaid.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really a thing. And then all of a sudden he started to get self-conscious about it. And then when they're older, it's like, no, fuck that, you know?
And then so they're talking one night and Kaio asks Felipe, like, when did it start for you? Like, when did you start to, like, fall in love with me? And he doesn't have an answer. And then at the very end of the book, he says, so Kaio said that it was when Felipe left the book on the coffee table.
Yeah.
It was the copy of The Two Towers because he had just finished
Nerds.
Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah. big nerds.
And Felipe says it was back when we were 13 or younger than 13.
Yeah,
and
they were kids.
They were kids, and I said, "Do you want to play mermaids?" And you played mermaids with
Yeah.
me. It was so
It's just
cute.
so sweet. Because he was nervous to ask another boy. And the boy was like, I don't care. Yeah.
I also love that, like, "You want to play mermaids?" is like a meme right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so I was just like, when I first read that in the beginning of the book, I was like, oh my God.
No.
Oh no. But it worked, and it was really cute, and I liked
So
it.
cute.
We should repost that as a meme on our page.
We should.
Do you want to play mermaids?
You want to play mermaids?
Oh my God.
It's such a sweet book.
Oh, that was something I was also afraid of. So my biggest fears were that the mom was going to come in, Kaio's mom was going to sweep in and just destroy his self-confidence and just like throw a huge fit about him coming out to her. That didn't happen. And my second biggest fear was that Kaio was going to get in his own way and be so scared of his own homosexuality that he wouldn't even reciprocate anything. And I was like, but that didn't happen. Mind you, it could happen sometime in the future.
Sure.
Because this book is obviously just a snippet of their lives. I liked the fact that it was evident that it was just a snippet versus like your standard romance comedy type thing where it's like, here's your really happy thing, here's your plot twist, and then happily ever after.
Yeah.
But like, that they're going to go on and probably be adults and like something's probably going to happen because life happens.
Life happens.
So
But
I was appreciated that I didn't have to read it.
yeah. Well,
Yes.
and like, yeah, even if something goes on to happen, this still did happen.
Yeah, and it was such a lovely
So
time.
lovely. And that it continued to happen even when Kaio went home.
Mm-hmm.
When the 15 days or whatever was over, they still just like went out and played mermaids in the pool. Like that. It's so sweet that there's no we don't have to see an ending. It doesn't matter. This was very sweet and perfect, and whatever happens happens. Oh, and the other character development that Felipe goes through in this very brief time was standing up to bullies.
Yeah.
And that was like, so he was bullied because he's fat,
Mm-hmm.
because bullies are mean, and he's in high school. And, we see him interact with the bullies earlier on, and he just sort of like looks down and shuffles or whatever. And then when they are being mean to Becky, he's like, oh, absolutely not. Like, he was going to let it pass, but then he stood up, he looked him in the eye, and he punched one of them in the face, which I'm not condoning necessarily. But,
if the situation calls for it.
Yeah. But that was huge.
Yeah.
Because, and it's also extremely relatable of like, you can kind of push me around, but like, not them.
Yeah. It's so much
it's
easier
like
to
a mama
protect your
bear
friends than
vibe
yourself.
all of a sudden. But he also realized that, oh no, I am capable of doing that. So, it leaves me with confidence that next time, if that bully tries anything, he will be able to just kind of stand up to them.
Sure.
Whether or not he punches them in the face, that's neither here nor there.
I think, doesn't he say out loud, go absolutely fuck yourself?
Something like that,
I
yeah.
think so,
Yes,
yeah.
It's delightful.
I don't remember exactly. Let's see.
And it's crazy because it is it's not even a small character arc. It's a pretty big one for how short a period of time this is. But he goes from being this kid who can't even talk out loud without just like having a panic attack because he's like overthinking literally everything. And then he's able to sit with this group of kids who like him.
Yeah.
And just be like, no. Like,
it is just go fuck
away.
yourselves.
Go fuck yourselves. Yeah.
Good for him.
Good for him. Yeah. Lovely. Just delightful. And the other very sweet thing, this is going back to the body image thing, but I just remembered, his mom teaches art. I know. His mom teaches art at
Like a
community center thing
Yeah.
every Monday. And one of the weeks they go with her. And there's this like little chubby kid that was being picked on for his size. And of course, they're younger and Felipe's older. And he like walks in on it and like kind of scares the other kids off.
Right.
And this tiny little chubby kid is obsessed with him and is just like, you are my hero. And the next week when he doesn't go, he draws him, the little kid draws him as Batman and like doesn't adjust
Well,
for...
he draws him as Batman that same day.
Oh, that same day.
then
And
he
draws
draws
himself as
Robin.
Robin the next week. But he doesn't change the shape of him or anything.
Yeah.
He's just, because that doesn't matter to him. He's like, this is who you are and you are Batman.
And
so
you are a superhero.
And you are a superhero. And that was so lovely too, to see like this little kid is obsessed with you for exactly who you are.
Yeah.
And sees you as a superhero for exactly who you are. Sobbing.
I also was like concerned because I just immediately jumped to the worst conclusion, apparently, that like when I started reading that scenario, I was like, oh, is he going to just like walk away because no one ever stood up for him? Or is he going to like somehow get out of that comfort zone? He didn't even seem to think about it. He was just like, what are you doing? And then they were, of course, because he's older and that usually is enough to get little kids to go away, except maybe American kids. They're kind of awful.
Yeah.
But it was just nice to see him just go for it. No thought. And it was just like, you didn't even have to know him. You were just like, oh, poor child. Let me help you.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
And yeah, that kid just like followed him around like a little puppy the rest of that time.
She's like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, we're doing this. You are my best friend now. And yeah, I mean, that is going to be something that kid's going to remember for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
And also kind of showed him how you can be.
Yeah.
I love it. This is such a sweet book.
I absolutely adore the mother.
Oh, yes. Felipe's mother is
what's her name?
everything. She has one.
Rita.
Rita.
That's it, Rita.
Miss
It's mostly
Rita.
just mom.
Mostly just mom.
But as a mom, it made it more clear to me how little I'm going to know about my child's life.
Yeah.
Because, like, she is clearly the most caring, most open, most just, like, knowledgeable about how to handle her child as best as she can. And she's just doing her art thing, being kind of a strange weirdo, but, like, living life the best she can.
Yeah.
But like, he still has his issues, and he's still struggling,
Of
and like,
course.
knowing how I struggled through my teen years, my parents don't know to the extent, right?
Mhm.
But it's still not something I was able to grasp until I was like reading this, and I was like, oh crap, he's gonna go
Yeah.
through this too, and I just have to try my best, but he's still gonna struggle.
And I think that's the lovely thing too, is like seeing, even if she doesn't know everything,
yeah,
they have such a nice relationship that
yeah,
that it doesn't, he can still go to her. Even if he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't tell her everything, he tells her enough.
And he says to his mother, the things I can't or don't want to tell to you, I tell to my therapist.
Yes,
He
yes.
does say that.
And that is so important because he
Yes.
knows he needs to talk about all of this stuff. And even if he can't bring himself to say it to his mom,
Yeah.
he has a therapist. And as always, if you can get into therapy, go to therapy. Always.
I really
Love
like that too,
therapists.
because I was like, and I don't know about Brazilian culture much, but like I know that in the Latin American culture, it's like still really hard to get them to understand that therapy is real
Yeah.
and beneficial for those who are just human,
Mhm.
right? And so I just was like, he just casually mentions that he's going to therapy and just talks
Yeah.
about it like it's matter of fact, and I'm just like, yes,
I love
yes,
it.
keep doing
I
that.
love
That's what
that.
we need.
Yeah.
Oh, and then when his therapist assigns him his homework and it's just to have a conversation with Kaio that he starts,
Yeah.
he initiates, and it has to last like 10 minutes. And then they have a conversation and it lasts 12. And it's about, what
Yeah.
was it about? The Lord of the Rings?
It's
I can't even remember what it was about.
Well, and because he started it with like, "Hey, I don't know how to start this."
Yeah.
And I was
And
like,
then-
"Good. That's
yes.
exactly how you start those
Yeah, and then
conversations."
so Kaio's like, okay, so like, what are things that you would like to talk about? And he just kind of lists a few, and then
Yeah. and they just go off.
they just go and they have a 12-minute conversation in the daytime.
Yeah.
That was
So
great. I like that
sweet.
he overcame that whole fear of being perceived.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was his thing. It's like he's like,
Which mood?
it's like he has his. He's clearly got a lot of opinions and a lot of thoughts, and he's very well read. And then, but he just like sees himself too much to be able to like present himself as his personality versus his physical appearance.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, no, like you are great. You are clearly a smart individual, and you clearly have a really good taste in things.
Obviously.
Except one thing that I have to talk about at some point because I was very concerned about it. Go.
We can come to
Yeah.
right back to that. I really want to know, like, I wish that there was, like, I don't know, bits and pieces from Kaio's point of view.
Oh,
Because,
yeah.
like, when he picks Hairspray as the musical, I didn't even think about, like,
Yeah.
the connotations of
Uh-huh.
that. So, like, Hairspray, obviously the main character is fat, and it's also about, like, busting through social norms.
Yeah.
And so Felipe is, like, really, like, oh my God, he picked this movie because I'm fat and it has a fat person. And he, like, kind of spirals for a bit, but then he's like, wait a minute. But he likes this movie.
Yeah.
So maybe he's trying to say, like, he's okay with me being fat. And, like, he just goes through this whole spiral. And I really want to know if, like,
Why?
if Kaio really thought that much about it,
Yeah.
or if that's just him doing all of this work that's not necessary.
I-
Because, like, I completely didn't even think about it. I'm just like, oh, hairspray, hell yeah.
We love
Yeah.
Hairspray.
I love Hairspray.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, hell yeah, let's watch this movie. and then he goes through all this spiral, and I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
And so I wonder, I just
I
want to know,
would-
like,
I feel like
what
yeah.
Kaio's going through.
If
at
there
the
was an
same time.
additional book, I think it would be lovely to just see the entire thing from Kaio's perspective.
Yeah.
Because I think that would be
Hilarious.
very interesting.
Yes.
Well, and because he would probably be sitting on the couch the whole time being like, what the fuck do I do? I'm just
Yeah.
twiddling my thumbs here. And like, he doesn't even know if this kid's like welcoming to
And
him.
the very first night, Felipe goes and takes a shower and like runs into his bedroom, and he has this like, oh God, this poor child. He has this routine of like staring at his imperfections in
Yep.
the mirror, which like doesn't come back up again
Yeah.
eventually. He talks about it a little bit at the beginning and then doesn't come back up. So hopefully we get past that, because what the hell. But he runs into his bedroom, which is where Kaio was supposed to be staying. And Kaio is in there because that's where he's supposed to be staying. But Felipe doesn't realize he was going to be in there and just freaks out that he's in a little towel.
He's in a towel.
And he's like, get out of my room!
And slams and locks the door.
Slams and locks the door. So it's like, I would love to see that from Kaio's perspective. Especially knowing that it's going to be okay and that we get there eventually. But yeah, I would really like to see Kaio's perspective. That's a great point.
That would be fun.
So what was the one thing that you think is...
So Felipe lists off like his top favorite musicals, or is it just? I think it's musicals.
I think it's musicals.
Yeah. One of them is The Seven Brides for Seven Brothers.
Oh yeah.
Have you heard or seen that?
I've seen it.
I have not.
One of my friends in high school, they went to the school in the next town over, and they did Seven Brides for Seven Brothers
as a play.
In the year of our Lord
musical?
2018.
Okay.
As a high school.
So the way I came across Seven Brides for Seven Brothers was through a TikTok that specializes in movies that at first seem charming, but then you watch it and you're like, why do I hate this? Why is everything wrong with this? And he's really funny. So like, I wish I had his name and I'd put him in there. But it... is about this dude who has, of course, 6 other brothers. And they all live in like a log cabin in the forest all together.
Sure.
Don't know why. And he goes into town and he's like, I think it's like the first song is about, I'm going to come here and get me a wife and I'm going to take her. It doesn't like it really heavily suggests that it literally doesn't matter what she wants, what she's like, but I just need a wife and I'm gonna grab her.
Oh no.
And everyone's like, you're crazy, what are you doing, get out of our town, leave
Yeah.
us alone. And then the strong, formidable female lead somehow gets swooped into this and somehow goes to them. And so she ends up taking care of all 7 brothers. And she has to do all the cleaning, all the cooking, all like everything. And you think she's gonna like stand her ground, but she doesn't. Instead, they all go find other women. And then they all bring them back and have 7 women and 7 men. And they're just singing about
happy
it.
Little commune.
But it's just really creepy the way they talk about women, the way they treat them, and the way that the women just kind of like go for it. Because the girl from the clips that I saw, she was actually pretty intelligent, very like independent. And suddenly she becomes this weird different thing. And I'm like,
no.
Yeah.
so I was like, that should not be one of your top favorites.
No.
So don't look into that. But then he has like Dreamgirls, Les Mis, and
Yeah.
then Wizard of
Yeah.
Oz, and I was like, okay, well maybe that one was just like a popular one that was known about.
Maybe. And it was like, it's from 1954, so maybe he just like
Picked like an older one.
Yeah.
just like one that he like appreciates despite its flaws.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it is very flawed. But yeah, the list is The Wizard of Oz, Les Miserables, 7 Brides for 7 Brothers, Dreamgirls, and Footloose.
Oh, and Footloose.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and like his summary in here is literally like the bare minimum summary. It says when she gets to said house, she finds out that the handsome man has 7 lazy brothers who expect her to cook, do the dishes, and clean the house. And then he says she doesn't, but she teaches him basic life skills.
Such as taking showers.
Yeah, which is like, first of all, it's not her job to do that.
No.
Where's their parents? Like, what happened to
Yeah.
them? But also, their parents raised them to believe that this was something that they were going to be given for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
So I was like, so yeah, if you look at it that way, yeah, it can be seen as like a really sweet concept, but it's similar to that other Disney movie that's like racist, but people don't understand why it's racist because they just don't want to think about it.
Which one?
It's the one that's like literally banned off of Disney Plus. They can't put.
Oh, Song of the South.
Yes.
Oh.
That is considered controversial because a lot of
Yes.
people are like, "Oh, it's just old. Oh, it's just how it was." And I'm like, no.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Bad.
It's very bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, the book was great.
The book was honestly so lovely. And like, yeah, speaking of the musicals, you know, they're like, Kaio, you can come for Musical Wednesday,
Mm-hmm.
even when you're, you know, still in your house, you know, even when you are still down the hall. And like, it's implied that he does,
Yeah.
you know, and like, that's really sweet because his mom loves him a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but isn't, you know,
She's
like,
not ready to know.
she's not ready to know. She wouldn't be able to handle it. And she is sort of like way too micromanagey. She is
Yeah.
very controlling. And it's just like, it's not as,
And slightly homophobic.
and slightly homophobic for sure.
Because
It's not
she
even
says like
slightly.
she calls Becky a bad influence because she's
Yeah.
black, fat, and a lesbian.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like those have nothing to do with what kind of an influence she's being.
No.
Right.
And
And she's
a
actually a
great
really cool
influence.
person. So
She just doesn't want to get to know her.
Yeah.
To like learn anything
And
about
like,
it.
you know, Rita is like, I love you guys
Yeah.
instantly.
Yeah.
She's like, I almost was a lesbian in college.
and then I did appreciate that we got the short little scene of Rita telling Kaio's mom, like, you have a great kid. His friends are
Yeah.
great. And Kaio's mom says, like, oh, well, I worry about some bad influences. And she was like, well, all of the people that were around him when he was here were great influences on
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
They're
And she
good
makes
people.
sure she seems to make sure that it's like within earshot so
Yes.
that Kyle
Yeah.
can like
Can hear it.
I
And he just
love
like gets
Rita.
a little bit of a smile on his face
Yeah.
when
love Rita. And yeah, I mean, instantly she was like, I have 2 sons now.
yes.
Well, because she kind of knows how Kaio's mom is.
Mhm.
And she was just like, he needs a loving, warm family experience. And I'm going to do that for the next 15 days. And she does. And she likes him. And, you know, they hang out sometimes by themselves.
Yeah, they go
Felipe's-
shopping
They go
and-
shopping
That's
together.
also what I would like to know from Kaio's experience
Yeah.
because Felipe's like, ugh, she's doing it again. Oh my God, my mom's so embarrassing.
I
like
know.
all
and,
that.
and Kaio just like adores her.
He's just like, okay, I'm gonna
And
go
she's,
shopping.
you know, and she's still a good mom. You know, it's not like she's just like letting the kids run wild when they go and they drink a lot
Yeah.
and come home in the middle of the night. And she is just sort of like, she has a very real talk with him. And she's like, I want you to tell me stuff. I also need you to take care of yourself. And I need you to, you know, talk to me, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. And, you know, I thought it was very lovely because he wasn't afraid, you know, like kids can be very scared
Yeah.
for their parents to know anything. And he wasn't afraid of her. He was not happy that he disappointed her.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that is like the best possible situation to be in because like he respects her and he loves her and he's still going to do his own stuff, but he is going to take her, you know, opinions and advice into consideration because
Yeah.
he knows that she actually gives a shit.
Also, friendly reminder that the drinking age in Brazil is significantly lower than
Yes.
here.
I looked it
Yes.
up while we were talking just now, actually,
yeah.
and it's 18, and he is 17.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
he
so-
is
Right.
still too young for that.
Yes.
But isn't like I think it's Becky and them who go get the drinks, so
Yes.
that's why
yes,
they like all
yeah,
get away with it.
she is old enough.
Becky and Melissa, yeah. Something that I just now put together that relates to actually our book from last month.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a cute little theme that I think is really like powerful in its metaphor.
Mhm.
Is like taking back colors.
Yeah.
So last month, the dead girls
I see
were
where you're
were all
going.
gray, and as they fought for themselves, like they took colors back from the people
Mhm.
who were hurting them.
Yeah.
And then in this book, Felipe wears all gray and all black and white, just no colors. And then Kaio, in the beginning of the book, actually
Yeah.
buys it when he's going out on that shopping trip with his mom. He buys him a red and black checkered flannel shirt.
Super
Mhm.
gay.
Yes,
Yeah.
and
I have that. I was just picturing the black and
Oh yeah,
red
I have
flannel
one.
that
I have one
had.
exactly
Yeah.
like it too. And so, and then at the end of the book, when he's like listing the things that he's learned over the he says he makes a list at the end. It's 15 things he's learned in the
Mhm.
last 15 days.
Yeah.
And one of them is that he likes color and that he never thought he would look good in anything but gray, black, and white. And he thinks red
Aw,
looks very
that's
good on
actually
him.
really
Yeah,
sweet.
I love this.
Yeah.
I was seeing where you were going with that. I'm obsessed.
And that also relates to Taylor Swift.
Yes.
Surprise.
Except for Taylor Swift is sad about it because
Yeah.
she can't see colors anymore because
Damn.
yeah. So
That
it's like
went
the other
dark.
side of it, but
Yeah.
yeah. But in this, it's cute.
In this, it's very cute. Because he wears it to the thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the shirt.
And everyone's like, wow, you look great. And he's like,
Thanks.
I love it. I love it so much.
It's very cute.
Oh, I loved the last thing from me is I loved that he brought up their astrology signs.
Oh yeah.
Yes!
I was like
Oh my
reading it, I was
God.
like, this is
Oh.
fucking great.
All
That
of the
scene,
Googling
the
was
Google
so
searching,
funny.
and I was like, that's so relatable
That
for
Like,
I
absolutely.
literally put I only put like 2 notes down because I was just like I wasn't stopping to write any notes. I was just reading.
Yeah.
And one of the only 2 notes I had was the overthinking is relatable. And that is
Absolutely.
so true. He overthinks everything always.
And then my other note was Team Pisces. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, yay.
Yes.
The one
Me and Tiara Pisces.
Ryan's a
I'm a
Virgo.
Virgo.
It's
Ryan's
okay.
a Virgo.
We forgive him.
The one thing that I like actually physically underlined in my book, which I never do, is this when he. Oh, so Kaio calls Felipe beautiful, and then Felipe calls Kaio beautiful,
Yeah.
and then the line that I underlined was, it occurs to me that if the word beautiful had a million different meanings, Kaio would be all of them.
Oh my God.
And I was just like, I have to physically underline
Yeah.
this right now.
That's fair.
It is very
It's a lovely book. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not very long. Let's see. I have the physical book. in front of me.
276 pages.
276 pages. It's
Okay.
not yeah. I don't know that there is an audiobook out there, but like the physical book it's so quick and it's just pure fluff.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like, I'm going to sneeze. I don't want
And
to.
it's not dense either. Like physically it's not dense. Like the typeface is pretty
Yep.
decent. It's not like crammed together. So it's like it
Well,
truly
and, like,
is just like a nice
I'm having
1 or 2 sitting read.
I have a lot of weird health problems, and one of those things is my eye is sort of jacked up. So it's hard for me to anymore physically read, especially dense stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And this was no problem. I mean, I just flew right through it. It's so lovely.
Yeah.
I think you should read all of the books that we read, but especially read this one.
Yeah.
If only because, gosh, it's just going to make you feel good.
Yeah.
Unless
if you
you're
need that.
homophobe, in which
Okay,
case,
don't-
why are you here?
What are you
Yeah,
doing?
literally,
How did
like-
you get an hour into this podcast? The 3rd episode, an hour in.
Sir, ma'am, they.
Especially with our
The name
the
of our
name
podcast.
and
I think if you've listened this far, read this book.
I don't think you know what Queens means.
yes.
um,
I think that's everything that I
Yeah.
really wanted to touch
Yeah.
on.
she's a mermaid. So
He's a
cute.
mermaid. Let's
It's
They're not even mermen. They are mermaids.
no, and they
That's
are so specific
so
about
great.
that.
Mhm.
They're like, as other boys would have made me switch to no, let's play mermen. It's like
Or
no,
pirates
no.
Or something.
Yeah,
Her.
yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to introduce the next book?
Yeah. So next month, what day is that going to be? Let me look at a calendar. December 26th.
Happy
That's cool.
after Christmas.
Happy after Christmas.
Boxing Day.
Boxing
Oh, that's
Day.
right. I don't know what that means still, but I know it's a big holiday wherever they celebrate it.
England?
Yeah, I think
Yeah, it's
Canada
England.
does
And,
too.
yeah.
I
Some-
don't know what it means. I just remember that in The Crown, Queen Elizabeth goes hunting.
Sure.
On
On
Boxing
Boxing
Day.
Day.
Yeah. Or at least the men do. I don't know if Elizabeth is actually there, but I can't remember. It's been a while since I watched that show.
Yeah.
Anyway, so join us December 26th for our next book, which is going to be The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is Russia.
It is our book for Russia. And yeah, it's going to be very fun and fantasy and
Yes.
a little bit of fluff and a little bit of secrets
Angst
and a
and-
little bit of angst. And it's going to be another little bit of a tone shift, but like a good one.
Yes.
I'm
Is
excited.
it YA as well, or
No, in Barnes and Noble, it's not in YA.
Okay.
Is it not? What's it in? Is it? Oh no, it's in fantasy. Yeah.
okay, sweet.
We
Not that
worked
it really
at Barnes and Noble
super
for a long
matters,
time.
but
Yeah.
oh, that's like being at the library. Ugh. I've learned so much about what's YA and what's not, and I read a lot of not YA growing up, and I had
Yeah.
no idea.
Yeah.
Also, if you ever decide to write a series, change your name. Don't have your name. It's probably too common. And make sure the art looks good on all of the books, and make sure that you're naming them in alphabetical order so they can all live next to each
Cheers.
other. That's my tips for those who are going
As
to write
long as
books.
those things are within your power. Because
Make it within
sometimes
your power.
the artwork is not. And
That is
Yeah,
true.
that's
but-
fair.
But you have the naming
The
choice.
naming
You
power.
have and your name.
And your own name. Use a pen name.
Don't be a Patterson. Don't be a Steele. Don't be a
Oh my God.
David Baldacci.
If your name is Smith, get out of here.
Brown, get out. You can't do it. Sorry.
Sorry.
I have put so many Sandra Rita Browns back on the
Yep.
shelf.
Dan.
Dan.
All of them.
Anyways.
Yeah. So
Do you guys want to play Mermaids? See you next time.
The suppression, the use of marijuana.
This podcast was brought to you in part by KCUN
Yeah, we could say that.
please tell me you recorded that.
89.3 FM KCUN.
Perfect.